Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Square of Self-Love. I am Kiatana, your self-love doctor. And I'm so excited to wrap up this, part 2 of the how self-love impacts your dating experience. I feel like the first part was way longer than it was supposed to be. It was really only supposed to be probably I guess I wrapped it up in an hour, but the whole episode is supposed to be an hour. And I didn't want you guys listening forever and ever. I mean, I'm one of those people who binge listens, but I can't expect that of everyone. So I wanted to just make it a decent amount of time. So this one will be pretty brief because I really only had one point left. But it's a really big point. And honestly, I feel like it could be pretty much an episode on its own. So not mad that I had to cut it. But so if you listen to the previous episode, I talked about 3 high yield points on how self-love impacts your dating journey. And, among those points, if you haven't listened to it, confidence is a big one. The ability to choose healthy and fruitful relationships was a big one. And really the enhanced discernment that you have when it comes to choosing a partner, when it comes to, accepting the right people in your life or walking away from the wrong people in your life. It just really does make a big difference. And I will give another disclaimer. I am on a walk with my dog. So I am outside. If you hear any extra noises, I really just wanted to be intentional. I actually just finished an international rotation in Barcelona. So those past couple episodes that I just recorded were all in Barcelona because I was there for a month. It was literally incredible. I did so much just for myself and so much just reflection on my journey as a student, as a woman, and all the things that I'm just really kind of taking in. I graduate medical school this year, and that's really exciting for me. This is by far my biggest accomplishment. And so I was really excited to spend this past month in Barcelona. And just during that time, I was really trying to be intentional, getting all of my self-love and love, dating, relationships content out. But of course, time had slipped away. And so some of this is a little past due. But, for all intents and purposes, you're going to listen to it whenever. And you probably weren't going to listen to it on time anyway. So I'll take a win where I can. So without further ado, let's get into it. The final point that I wanted to make in terms of how self-love impacts dating is the ways it changes your view on rejection and builds resiliency in rejection. And I cannot stress this enough. Rejection in so many ways is a blessing because, we can really only see what's on our side of rejection, the fact that, you're losing something or, you have to break up with those ideas of hope and, oh my goodness, I thought this person was going to be the one and all these things. But you never really get to see the other side of the situation. And, there's one phrase that has been pretty popular and I really identify with is rejection is protection. And I truly agree with that. I think about how many situations I was rejected from in the moment, but how much it probably protected me from something way worse, from something that would have taken my spirit or, changed who I am as a person, or even robbed me of my happiness and my peace, all of those things. And so I really had to take into account, I don't know what was on the other side of this, but I do know, I am in the position to make the best of this situation and just take it for what it is. I think one of the things that rejection does bring is clarity, because, oftentimes when you're kind of trying to avoid rejection, you're in that what if kind of limbo stage. Whereas once rejection occurs, you know what it is. It's now black and white. It's now all in front of you, and you know exactly where you stand. And that's a sense of peace. I know it's not like the happiest thing, but it should bring some peace, and it should bring a sense of, okay, like, this is a situation. Yeah, it might suck. I might be very upset with it, but like, at least I have an answer. At least I know, what it is. And I really can't like soften the blow of rejection. Like, as much as I love myself, as much as I've been very intentional with like my self-love, rejection still hurts. Like, it still sucks to be rejected. That's not ever going to be a painless experience, but I truly feel like, even like when you love yourself, and I mentioned this in the last episode, like when you love yourself, you definitely take things less personal. You feel like things aren't, you're not being rejected as a person, you're being rejected from the situation. And that's huge. Like, you are enough, and this situation is not dictating whether or not you have value, whether or not you're important, whether or not, you're beautiful or handsome or whatever the situation. This is just one situation with one person. So if you could kind of just sit with that, and I can't really like stress that enough. I really feel like when I knew my worth and knew my value, when it came to like rejection, it just was like, oh, okay, this doesn't work out. Like, that's fine. And I'm not going to say everybody was like that. There were people who I thought were going to be in my life forever. And when it came to, me standing up for myself or advocating for myself, and they didn't agree with that, it was very painful for me to walk away from those friendships or relationships. But I knew that I was doing it because on the other side, I would be stronger and I would be better for it. And so you really just have to have, like, as mentioned in the last episode, confidence when it comes to like walking away from situations. It's one of those things that it's always going to feel like crap, but you are so much better for the rejection, and you just have to trust that this rejection is a part of your story. And you have to think about, like, some of the best people have been rejected. Okay, Beyonce has been declined for jobs before. Beyonce has been turned down for a date. Like, if Beyonce isn't your jam, whoever your person is, I don't know who, like, pop culture is not something I'm like super savvy on right now, but whoever is that person for you, they've all been rejected before. There's a lot more no's in this world than there are yeses. But the best part of that is that the yeses that you do get are so much more important. Like, those are the moments that are going to shape and change your life. And so that's really what you have to believe. Okay. I think the problem with me walking and recording is that I'm a fast walker. And so I'm like walking fast, but I'm also talking fast. I don't know. But anyway, and so you have to trust that self-love is going to be your like sturdy foundation when it comes to rejection. You're going to nurture that resilience and self-compassion in times of rejection, because that is like the best thing you can do for yourself. It really does enable you to view rejection as redirection rather than a personal failure. And I feel like it definitely just helps you to foster a growth-like mindset, and I mean, honestly, propels you towards like experiences that better align with your desires. You really have to trust that when you are being rejected is for your benefit. And trusting that is really all you can do in the moment. So the first self-reflective question that I'm going to say is probably the most important is, what was the last time I was rejected and how did I handle it? And that's really important, just to kind of think about, how do you handle rejection? I feel like personally, I'm one of those people who I probably don't take enough stuff personal. And so when it comes to rejection, unless it's like something I'm really passionate about, for my career, or, someone I'm really in love with. But if it's just dating, I can't say that I take it very personal, because I just know that dating is not a personal situation. Like, it's very superficial for quite some time. And even when it's like more deep, that doesn't always have to be like a personal thing. People stop dating individuals for reasons that are usually more personal to them than it is to the person that they're dating. And so really think about the last time you were rejected and what that looked like. And then our second self-reflective question: how does self-love change my ability to accept rejection? And I know for me personally, like in my dating experiences, I had a guy who was very comfortable just like leaving me on red, which is to me a form of rejection. And I had to really sit with that. Like, I was very bothered by that. Like, I don't like being left on red, as most people don't. Like, it's rude. And it's one thing, like, I'm a very trash texter. And so if you leave someone on red a couple times and then you explain, or we all know like text etiquette. So to leave someone on red and then just like leave it at that, pop up several days later with nothing referring to the previous conversation, So I really had to take that as rejection, but then look at, if I love myself, how should I be handling this? This is an opportunity for me to set a boundary. This is, what I don't accept in my life. And that you have to be honest with yourself. You really do. Now, you can also just accept this as this person is rejecting me and stop talking to that person, which is exactly what I did. Because when someone rejects you, you do have the space where you need to really protect your peace. And, I think the worst thing we can do in cases of rejection is ask questions. It's one thing to have like clarity and things of that nature. And I really do want to talk about like breakups and self-love. Because I'm telling you, I had like a whole relationship. I had a whole relationship series planned, and I was so excited, and I'm still going to do it. But I really feel like when someone rejects you, probably the worst thing you can do is ask like, why, what did I do wrong? Like all these things. But I also think that you have to be your sense of closure. Like, you have to be your closure. No one else is going to give you closure in any, like, I feel like I subscribe to like the belief that closure is something that I needed in certain senses of rejection. And I need to, get those answers and understand what's going on. And really, it took me time through my self-love journey to realize nobody's going to give me closure in the way that I want. Like, you don't want closure. You want the situation back. You want that person back. You want, like, nothing's going to make it feel better. It's kind of like, if you broke your ankle and you don't want surgery, but like you want your foot repaired. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying like closure is necessarily surgery, but it's just one of those things that's like, I think it will make me feel better. And it's the only thing within my power that I can really ask for. And I don't know if that's like a very clear example, but I definitely feel like when it comes to people who reject you, protect your dignity, protect your peace. Like, I would just, take that as a rejection and protection and walk away from it. Like, and that's exactly what you have to do in some cases. There's been plenty of times where, I feel like if you are dating anyone or anything or ever gone into dates, then you're going to get rejected. That's like inevitable. But, to walk away from that experience as peacefully as I can is great, because I'm still preserving, my dignity and who I am and my peace and my wellness. And so that's something that you really have to keep into consideration. Whew. Okay, we're walking downhill now. Astro is eating leaves. Great. So the third self-reflective question is going to be, what strategies can I use to maintain self-worth in the face of rejection? And so really think about that. One of the things that I do is silence, like give yourself time to think and process and feel. And then, really be honest with yourself. Like, if that's a heartbreaking situation, and no one else has to see it as heartbreaking. This can definitely be something that only you feel heartbreak about. There's plenty of things that you might feel very sad about, and it really wasn't even that serious. And that's fine. No one else has to understand or get it. But, be honest with yourself. My feelings are hurt. Because rejection is going to hurt your feelings oftentimes. And so, be honest with yourself about that. Give yourself the space to feel. But then take that as a learning opportunity, and be honest with yourself about the person that's rejecting you, because that is important too. When I was lacking self-love, I was definitely dating potential. I would get so excited because, you know, this person looked good on paper and they had all these good things that seemed like they'd be the perfect partner. And if they rejected me, it was almost like the rose-colored glasses like melted off. I was then more honest with myself about the fact that I didn't really see this person the way they actually are. I was more into this image or this idea of a person, but that's not who they are. That's who they were never. They were never going to be that person. And you have to be really honest with yourself about that. So that's huge. Even when, you know, creating your strategies for how to deal with rejection. And that's really important to think about. So think about the strategies that you can use, giving yourself space to be, you know, honest with how you feel about the situation, giving yourself, you know, clarity. And then if it's your strategy, you know, to pray and understand, you know, why God might give you rejection in this moment, because that's also important. Ask God to show you the learning opportunities in this rejection. That's huge, because there's so many learning opportunities when you're told no. I feel like sometimes we really don't realize just how many ways we can learn about ourselves until we are told no. And, you know, you feel like you're doing great. You feel like you have so many great skills, but then there's that one rejection. And as toxic as it probably is, we really do remember rejection more than we do acceptance. Like, I feel like we definitely remember those times that people, you know, nitpicked or, you know, gave us a lower grade than we deserved. And you know, it really does motivate you to do some soul searching. So sometimes you really do just have to figure out how to, you know, digest rejection in the best way and the most healthy way that is for you. But I can't emphasize this enough. Like, do not take this personal. Rejection is a normal part of life. And when you love yourself, it's just going to be, right? Like, it happens and it hurts for the moment, but you will get over it. And it will be something that you completely forget. I always think it's so funny to think about the things that, you know, I was torn up about, right? Like, certain things in my life have happened and I just thought I'd never recover. I mean, I can even talk about, like, academically, like failing exams, right? In medical school, we were taking an exam every other week for 2 years. And so out of all of those exams, it was very likely to fail an exam. And if you failed an exam, you just retook it the next Monday, and usually everything was fine. And so just having those experiences where I failed, you know, one of my exams and it ruined my weekend, and it was so awful in the moment. Like, I would be so upset. All my friends, and of course, you know, it's like the SpongeBob meme where, like, he's stuck inside and everyone's like frolicking outside. And that's exactly what it felt like. Like, and you feel so like upset and hurt and ashamed in the moment. But you have to know that after that moment, you're not going to remember that. Like, I don't even remember what exams I failed. And, you know, it's just like, you have to trust that this is a temporary feeling and it will wash away, it will go away, and that's fine. So, a little bit of rambling for you guys, but not too much. I think I did just enough. And then really just like trusting the process. Like, I never wanted to be one of those people because I didn't trust the process. I'm gonna be honest with you, until, you know, I got to this point. But I truly believe, you know, everything happens for a reason. Everything will work out in the end. And I just really have to love myself and trust my capabilities and trust God and trust, you know, the positions that I've been put in, that these are, you know, situations that I'm in to improve me and to sharpen my capabilities and to be honest with myself, you know. I had more that I wanted to emphasize on rejection, but it's definitely more spiritual based. And so I just wanted to kind of give a disclaimer. If you know, don't believe in God or aren't religious or spiritual, just be prepared. Or if you want to skip this part, that's fine. So my biggest thing when it comes to rejection, I first thank God. Like, I don't know what's on the other side of this rejection, but I thank you, Lord, for protecting me from whatever that might be. from the negative energies that would have shaped me for the worse, for the negative experiences that would have changed my giving heart and my ability to trust others. And that's huge. Having that mindset has allowed me to accept rejection with so much more peace. That's probably a lot more scary for others to even like witness, because you really don't know what's on the other side. Like, and I find it funny, but some of the experiences that I've heard of is like, you know, jackpot winners getting these huge amounts of money and then it being dangerous for them, you know, people robbing them, or, you know, their entire family manipulating the situation and, you know, leaving them out to dry, them indulging in dangerous or risky behaviors that end up, you know, ending their life. And so it just, you never know what's on the other side of what you could see as like the biggest blessing, because we often only see what we need in those moments. Often in those situations, we really only see what we need out of it, but we really don't see the ways that we can, you know, be changed by it. So that's one of the biggest things for me, is like understanding that rejection is God's protection, which I've already said. But two, understanding that, you know, when I get comfortable, I am not in my best state of mind. I am not trying to be my best self. I am not working on the areas that I need to improve. And so when I get that rejection, sometimes that's the energy that you need to go into, you know, go mode. Sometimes that's the fuel that you need. Sometimes that's God's way of saying, not yet. Sometimes it's the fuel that you need to reshape and reposition for the success that lies ahead. And so when it comes to times of rejection, know that that's not personal to you, or that's not your opportunity to grow from. You know, that was going to be a dead end. But there's another opportunity lying 3 stops ahead if you're patient, you're willing to work for it. And you really have to trust that and believe that. I know I have never walked in your shoes. I don't know your situation, but I have been blessed in amazing ways. And I feel like in ways that I didn't anticipate, I didn't expect. And sometimes those rejections happen because God wants the glory. And that's something that I also had to realize. Sometimes there's areas where I did all the legwork, I did everything, and I still got rejected. And I have to understand that sometimes if I would have gotten that acceptance, that you know, yes, would I have given the glory to God, or would I have taken the credit to myself? And those are the instances that I have to trust. This was to keep me humble. This was to keep me from thinking I did all the work, I did that was all me, because I know that I am never the one. I know that God is working thousands times harder to get me to my success. And so sometimes I have to realize those periods of rejection are periods to keep me humble. And then finally, thinking of abundance, you know, when you have a rejection, sometimes that's God's way of saying not yet, rather than no, you know, and it's not a never, but it's not yet. Maybe I have, you know, certain qualities that I need to sharpen within myself so that when I do get this acceptance, I know exactly what to do with it and how to handle it and how to multiply from it. You know, when I am entering this relationship, I am whole and healthy, and I am not entering this relationship with hurt in my heart and mistrust and insecurities. And you really have to trust that that rejection was for your benefit, like I said. So like I said, this was, you know, I take it very spiritual. I trust that God is doing everything for a reason. I trust that, you know, I know myself. I know my weaknesses. I know the areas that I need to strengthen. And I trust that God is going to show me that through rejection. You know, just having that spirit of trust. I trust that things are in works behind doors that I've never seen. My name is being spoken in rooms that I've never been in. But knowing that things are working when I don't even know it. And I think that gave me the most encouragement. You know, God will put things in your lap that are completely out of your control. And you have to trust that. You have to know that. And you know, if you don't believe in God and you believe in another, you know, power source, the same thing applies. Knowing and having faith that things will work out exactly how they need to work out. And you don't have to do anything but try to be your best self. That's the only thing you have to do. Try to be your best self. work on your self-love, work on how you can, multiply the fruit that's given to you. And that's really all. And so it sounds really hippy dippy. It sounds easier said than done. And I'm not saying any of this is easy. Plenty of situations have happened in my life and I'm like, dang, that could have been me. And then plenty of situations have happened in my life and I'm like, wow, this happened to me. So you can't have that energy of, comparison and jealousy. Now, I'm really excited because of March is Women's History Month. And so I'm going to do that month to be more focused on friendships and, women empowerment. And one of the things that I really want to talk about is the way self-love has shaped my ability to, not compare myself to others and not have a jealous spirit. And I feel like that has helped me so much, especially, in this situation, because it was just like, hey, that wasn't for me. That's it, and that's really the only energy I can take. And so I said a lot here today, but I hope it sits well with you guys. I hope it's well received. And I hope, this is one of those episodes. I'm actually very glad that it's by itself, because I think it will be one of those episodes that people pop on and listen to, and it might encourage them to listen to, other episodes of mine. So I don't want to keep rambling to you guys because that was all I had. But this will be up probably later in the week because it's part 2, and I feel like it'd be nice to kind of knock out. But that's all I got for you guys. If you don't already follow me on social media, please follow me on Instagram at square.of.self.love. And I also have a link tree in my bio where you can find all of the podcasts and the platforms that I upload to, such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And yeah, I think that's all of it. As well as any other content that I release on TikTok and YouTube. All right, friends, that's all I got for you. So I'll talk to you later, and don't forget to love yourself.